Longtime Browns beat reporter Tony Grossi with the difference between the Joe Flacco of 2 years ago with the Browns and what he's seen so far through 3 games this year.
He does not look the same as 2 years ago. After talking with him yesterday, what do you think it is? And do you think this can still, come to fruition?
Start with the offensive line, the tackle position. A very uncertain running game to start the year. It's starting to come into being now. And I think Joe has been cautious because I think he was a little bit traumatized by the first 2 games, the 4 turnovers that he accounted for. Also, throw in the opponent. I mean, they've played, at least the last 2 games, 2 really good teams. So all of that has amounted to a slow offensive start. It's going to get better, and we'll see. It might not look better this week because this is probably the best team they've played and will play all year long.
With that, let's welcome in Jake Burns from BrownsFilmBreakdown.com. And Jake, I play that to set up something you addressed on BrownsFilmBreakdown.com. Lingering questions about the Browns offense. What are you seeing?
It's a mixture of, I think, something mentioned there in that clip, which is that they're playing some really good defenses. I think defenses that have a chance to be some of the best by year's end, and certainly very talented, very talented groups. So it's not like they've run into some that are going to be among the league's worst by the end of the year. You know what I'm saying? They're facing groups that are talented. Although, you look at like Baltimore, Detroit, both gave north of 30. You can kind of get lost in that. I promise these are good defenses they're playing. Cincinnati, I think, is improved in a lot of aspects. And really, the Browns did have their way with them. They just couldn't find the way to the end zone. But again, good defenses, but they're not protecting well enough, right? And if you're not protecting well enough, in order to get to the sort of downfield passing concepts people are begging Joe Flacco to get to, it seems like, in the last week, you got to really peel back those individual plays and look at why was the ball not pushed downfield. And when you get into the lens of like they're just not keeping pockets clean enough, and it could be interior guys getting walked back, it could be tackles losing the edge and forcing Flacco to step up into discomfort. I think it's quite clearly a lack of consistency along the offensive line, performance down to down. And then, yeah, there's certainly not, for the totality of this 3-week window, not a huge sample size, but enough that people want to draw some conclusions from it. They're certainly not running it well enough. There were some positive signs last week, and we'll see as they continue on through the next 3 games, which again are against pretty good defenses, but Pittsburgh's had some vulnerability. Even Minnesota has had some vulnerability at times in Detroit, and their interior defensive line is a bit of a question mark. So, yeah, there's going to be a chance to get the run game back on track, and if you can run it efficiently, you have a better chance of finding some of those downfield throws. So I wouldn't say it's a lack of trying conceptually versus I think they're just not executing up front to go from getting maybe 2.25 to 2.5 seconds to get the ball out to the 3.5 seconds it requires to get a guy downfield sprung open.